What is going on, everybody? Welcome to the first ever Momentum Challenge. My name is Nick Carlson. I'm actually going to be your co-host for the next 5 days as we walk through the challenge. I am so excited to be here with you and cannot wait to help you through each and every one of the days that we actually have coming up. So for starters, do me a favor. If you can hear me, let me know in the comments below. If you can hear if the picture's coming through very well. Also, let me know where you're coming or where you're logging in from, where you're joining us from. I see a ton of people in here. What's up, Jose? What's up, the one and only Mark Drager in the house? Zan's in the house. Rebecca's in the house. It's good to see you again, Rebecca. Shine, what's going on? Appreciate you, Mark, for letting me know. So this is the first ever Momentum Challenge, and it is on the backbone of Evan's new book that we just released. So Momentum is all about helping you guys get momentum in and around the goals that matter to you most. And that's exactly what we're going to be covering. The book, which if you haven't gotten it yet, you definitely should. We're going to be talking about some things later on the challenge about it. Is essentially broken up into 4 sections or 4 key pillars of momentum. And each one of those pillars has about 7 different lessons in it. And when Evan and I were talking, we decided this needs to be a challenge. We were actually going to do another Built to Serve challenge. If you guys were, I see a bunch of friendly or bunch of previous faces that we had in the Built to Serve challenge in the comments right now. So if you were a part of that, we were going to do another one of those. And we were like, this has to happen. We have to do a momentum challenge. And so we actually structured this a little bit shorter than the Built to Serve challenge. Actually, for your guys' benefit, we really wanted to make sure we packed everything into a consumable amount of time, so we weren't drawing it out over a week. We have a ton of great stuff to teach you. And what we're doing is each one of these days, for example, today we're covering the mindset shifts of momentum. And in the book, there's 7 different lessons for this actual pillar. In this challenge, what we're going to be doing is actually covering 2 of those lessons, the key primary lessons, and then we're actually going to be giving you guys some homework assignments that you can do each and every day, posted into the group. We are going to be monitoring who's actually participating. We're going to be giving away some bonuses and prizes at the end of the challenge for anybody who is really involved. These challenges are phenomenal. When we did the Built to Serve challenge, it was a really eye-opening experience for Evan and I, just because of how amazing the engagement was and how amazing every one of you really were. I'm gonna take a second. We got Missouri in the house. We got New York in the house. We got Malaysia. What's up from Malaysia? Illinois, San Diego. Hey, it's my hometown. I'm actually moving out of here in about a week, but San Diego represent. Florida, what's going on? So we have people from all over the world registered for this event. We have Ho Chi Minh, we have more from China, Greenville, South Carolina. We had thousands of people register for this Momentum Challenge because this is really one of the most important things that you can do when it comes to developing your thought leadership platform, and that is really build your momentum and get started in the right direction. I can't tell you how much time I lost when I first started my agency and my business, just trying to get things perfect, just trying to get, the perfect lead magnet out there and working on it for 4 or 5 months just to get it out to the world and find out that it didn't really have, the right message to market fit, or different clients that I had held on to for way too long. So this is going to be an unbelievably important challenge for you, whether or not you're launching a business, whether you're starting a podcast, whether you are trying to write a book, whether you're trying to get your YouTube channel to gain some traction, whatever it is that you're working on right now, we're going to cover the basic fundamental principles that you need to really get that flywheel effect going, right? So just a couple of housekeeping things right before we get started. We are actually streaming this live in the Facebook group to everyone who registered. We're also streaming it live to Evan's YouTube channel. So I just want to say, If you are watching on the YouTube channel, do us a favor. You can go to momentumchallengelive.com. You can register for this challenge and get access to the Facebook group. That Facebook group is really where it's really the only place you're going to be able to post and participate in the actual challenge. We are also prioritizing people who have registered for the challenge, whose questions come in. We are prioritizing those questions that happen inside of the Facebook group as well. So again, if you are joining us from YouTube, please go to, and we're going to be streaming to both platforms every day for the next 5 days. Please go to momentumchallengelive.com and register so we can actually get you into the group. We've had thousands of people access this group over the last week and a half, and the excitement in here is incredible. I'm so excited to meet every single one of you guys, and without further ado, Evan Carmichael, the man, the myth, the legend himself, should be hopping on any second. There he is. What's going on, brother?
Oh my goodness, ladies and gentlemen, I was about to say movie makers, but insiders, momentum challenge. We are ready to go. I'm so happy. Nick did an awesome job as usual to get us all set up and going. And I love it. We're ready. We are ready to build some momentum. I've been waiting for this. I have a new book out. It's called Momentum. This is what it looks like. Shout out to Kiera Poulsen and Freedom House in helping me create this. And I want to do a quick check-in for everybody. How are you feeling right now? What is a word to describe how you're feeling right now? Pop it in the chat. If you're feeling energized, excited, that's cool, amazing, we love it. But also, hey, maybe you had a rough day. Maybe you're not on top of your game. That's okay too. I think it's one of the sides of entrepreneurship we don't talk enough about is, hey, sometimes it's hard. You might be going through something rough right now too, and you still showed up. So shout out to you guys for doing that. So pop in the Facebook group, pop a couple words. How you feeling right now? Linda Ray says, I want to build some momentum. Kiera Poulsen says, pumped. Nina in the house. My wife always gets the extra love, says excited. Leori says, good. Zan says, let's go. Denise says, excited. Mark says, stressed. LOL, need some Evan energy. All right. Well, I hope to deliver, Mark. Lily Beth says, let's go. Angela says, tired and super excited to be here. All right. I love it. Zan says, momentum. Frank says, where can we purchase it? Looking good. We'll talk about the book a little later. Sigrid says, excited. Trevor, excited. All right. Ready to move forward. Here it is. So momentum challenge. Nick's got his finger up. What are we doing, Nick?
Yeah, I just want to say one last thing I forgot to mention before. If you guys have any questions as we're going through the challenge, please post them to the comments. I'm actually going to be actively in the background pulling all of your questions and consolidating them so that at the end, if we have time, we'll get everything answered for you. I just wanted to make sure that no one's trying to chime in.
Shout out to Nick, who's got the Evan Carmichael t-shirt on and the chains by popular request. The last challenge, people kept guessing how many chains Nick was going to show up to the next day. So he's got the chains out in full force on day one. We love you, Nick. All right. So if you guys do want to buy the book, you can just go to Amazon, look up Momentum Evan Carmichael. There's a bunch of bonuses too. Like if you buy multiple copies, I don't know if we got that link somewhere for anybody who wants to check that out. If you buy 3 or 5 or whatever, you get some extra bonuses as part of it. But I want to talk about momentum because the reason why I wrote this book was very often the thing that I tell entrepreneurs is the only thing you're missing is momentum. When I'm coaching people one-on-one, when they're coming up to me after a speaking event or a gig, or they're doing Q&A with me, it's like the only thing you're missing is just momentum. You've got the heart, you've got the energy, you've got the capacity to serve, you've got the willingness to do it. You've got everything inside you and you want to do it for the right reasons. You're just missing momentum. We're stuck overthinking, overanalyzing, overjudging, overstressing. We're just stuck. And then we don't make. And then another week goes by and another week goes by and another month and another year. And you look back, it's like, what happened? I've had this idea for how many years and I still haven't done the thing. And so the faster we can go from the idea you've got to then just doing something about it and not having to be perfect and not having it to be a home run out of the gate, just building momentum because it's the only thing that you're missing. So this is going to be a fun 5 days. So we're on our Facebook group. We're on YouTube. YouTube guys, I love you. If you want to participate in the challenge and everything else, Go to momentumchallengelive.com. You can register. It's free. We're going to spend 5 days together. Let's go. I'm excited. Frank is sharing the link to the YouTube, to the book already on Amazon. Appreciate you, Frank. Yeah, anybody, if you want to check that out, you can go pick up a copy. Let me know what you think. We're going to spend 5 days together. We're going to talk today about the mindset shifts to make momentum happen. Tomorrow, we're going to talk about how to start getting into action mode. And here's the thing, guys. We're going to do stuff. This is a challenge where you actually have to do some of the work. So it's not just going to be talking to me and hearing me and listening to Nick and hearing his inspiration and guessing how many chains he's going to wear tomorrow. It's not just that. We're going to actually get to work. And so we're going to have homework assignments at the end of every day that you're going to put in the Facebook group, and you're going to cheer each other on. It might make your heart go boom, boom, boom a little bit. We'll talk about the boom, boom, boom test. You might be nervous. You might be scared. Some of those things that are inside you that you want to share with the world, we're going to talk about them in this challenge. And then you're going to actually start building some momentum towards them in this challenge. So it's going to be happening. So when you're signing up, I want you to be in Kira Paulson words, a holy hell yes. Let's get into it. Let's dive in deep. You've got a big message that you want to share with the world. We have to get it out there. It's going to require some extra courage, some extra bravery. And it's not just listen to Evan and Nick for 5 days. It's let's create. So this is what it's all about. So the first 4 days, mindset shift of momentum today, getting started and building momentum. We're going to take some action tomorrow. Day 3 is going to be about how to maintain the momentum. So you're not start and stop, right? Can you relate? Like you start something and then you forget, or you fall back down. Day 4 is going to be some of the more advanced stuff, advanced strategies for the super high achievers here in the house. And then on day 5, we're going to be doing some Q&A, some hot seats, helping you guys out and following along as we go. Somebody just said I crossed 1,000 subscribers on my YouTube channel. I love it. The first 1,000 are the hardest 1,000. Let's go. Congratulations. So I want to start talking about momentum by talking about how this book even came to be. People have been asking me for years, when are you going to write another book? It's been 3 years since Built to Serve. Like, when are you writing your next book? So I don't want to write it. I don't have another book. I don't know what the book is. I don't have another book in me. I don't have time to write a book. I don't have time, right? I've got 42 people on my team. I'm building out a software company. I'm speaking now again as the world is opening up. I've got a million things that I'm doing. I just bought a new house. If you guys have seen the change in the background from my hardcore YouTube audience, you see has changed up slightly. It's like, I don't have time to write a book. And then I met an awesome woman who I invested into named Kira Paulson, who started a company called Freedom House that I'm an investor in now. And she wanted to do a book channeling. I said, okay, let's do a book channeling session live on my Instagram. And we set it up and we went live together. And in my head, I'm not writing another book. It's not happening. You know, I already Built to Serve. I like Kira. I just love her energy, but we're gonna do this and it's gonna be great. But I'm not gonna write another book. You know, I want to support her and what she's doing. And as we're doing the book channeling on Instagram, the idea that came through me was momentum. Like, what's the biggest thing that people are missing? It's still just momentum. And so as we got to the end of the call, the question came up is like, hey, well, when are you going to write this book? You've got this book inside you called Momentum. Momentum, when are you going to write it? And it's not the kind of thing you can kind of sit on for 3 years, right? How do you write a book on momentum and leave it sit for a couple of years? Like, I need to start writing it today. And so after we hung up, it was like 3 o'clock in the afternoon. I just started writing. And here's the thing. I did not have my perfect plan. I didn't know what the structure was going to be. I didn't know what each chapter was going to look like. I didn't have it all laid out. My first book with Penguin Random House took me over a year to write. Over a year. Every week going to my Whole Foods cafe and writing and planning and structure. And I spent way more time planning than actually writing. This book, I wrote in 5 days. I wrote in 5 days. It flowed through me. I didn't have any official time to write the book. It's not like I cleared my calendar to go off and do this. I still was running my team. I was still building my companies. I'm still talking to the people that I'm mentoring. I'm still doing speaking gigs. We had a crazy scare in the middle of it. My wife, Nina, discovered a lump in her chest on like day 3 or so of me writing. And that was just insane. And the whole day was was gone. Like we're going to doctors trying to figure all this out. Now, luckily, she's okay. There's no major issues. And I talk about it in the book, in the process, but I wrote the book in 5 days. And I started planning as I was writing. Like you cannot plan this, whatever your big dream, big mission, big goal, big vision you've got for yourself, you can't plan it all the way. You cannot plan it you have no idea what it's going to look like. We get so stuck up on having the perfect plan and then we never create because there's always some unknown that we have to go and solve. And it's so much easier to research and plan and think and watch another YouTube video and go to another event or take another challenge or read another book instead of actually doing the thing that matters, which is taking action. Momentum. The only thing you're missing is momentum. And so I ended up writing this book in 5 days. And the initial challenge was to have it written in 8 weeks. You know, my session, Kira said, 8 weeks, you're gonna have this book written. And we changed it to having it published in 8 weeks. So 8 weeks to the day, this book became published. And that's getting all the graphics and the copy and the editing and the posting and all of the stuff that has to happen to make a book come out. And the lesson for me in there, and hopefully the lesson for you guys too, is that, man, some of these ideas you've got, they're not that far away. You know, how many of you want to write a book? How many of you want to make some videos and start a YouTube channel or start creating and posting content? How many of you want to get on stage? These things that feel like they're so far away because you don't know how to do it, we're actually not that far away. It's not that far away. And it's a great lesson for myself as well to remember. It's like, it's not that far away. It's not that hard. We're just overthinking it. And the key thing that we're missing is momentum. So what I love for you guys, before we dive into the first strategy, is what is the story? You know, like, why haven't you started your thing? You've all got goals, and I want you to write it in the chat and YouTube audience. If you're joining us live, everything is happening inside of our Facebook group. If you go register there, I pinned the comment at the top, so you can go to Momentum Challenge Live and join us. Love to have you. But everybody who's joining us on the Facebook group, what's the story you're telling yourself? Like, why have you not done the thing? Why are you not building more momentum towards the big goals that you've got? Pop it there in the chat. There's all of these reasons that we've convinced ourselves of, but really underneath it, what are you just afraid of? So Michael says fear of failure. Rebecca says, I got stuck. I'm overthinking. I love it. What else? Amy says, I feel like I have too many missing pieces. Jennifer says, oh, perfectionism is my demon. I love the honesty. David says fear. Sonia says, I get distracted, shiny object syndrome. Leanne says, I'm too old and people aren't on YouTube for what I have to offer. Mark says, I'm starting too many things. I get overwhelmed. I don't finish stuff. Lady says, there's always something that stops the flow. Christopher said, I'm scared of judgment, mixing with a feeling of I'm not deserving of success. Lack of clarity, lack of confidence, not good enough. I love it. I appreciate everybody's honesty. And honestly, for me, I wouldn't have joined something like this. You guys are already ahead of me in the early stages of my business. It took me, I have the stats on my website, but in 5 years, I still only had a couple thousand subscribers on my YouTube channel. 5 years of making content. I would have been too afraid to show up to something like this. And so congrats on showing up, and congrats on actually knowing the reason why you're not doing it and being honest. Like, how quickly have we already gotten to the root cause of you not having momentum? Right? This isn't now taking 5 weeks of therapy. You already know. You've written it down. And as you go through what everybody else is saying, hopefully you realize that you're not alone. In this group are all these amazing humans who also have a huge mission in their heart and soul, want to get it out to the world, and everybody's sharing similar thoughts. We're afraid of being seen. You know, you're afraid of who's going to judge you if they see your content. And we're also afraid of not being seen, right? You're afraid of making content and nobody seeing it, nobody buying your book, nobody watching your video. So we're afraid of being seen and not being seen at the exact same time. No wonder why we're stuck. No wonder why we're not building momentum. And so What I'm hoping to do in the next 5 days is shine a light of truth and help you realize that these are just no longer good enough reasons. It's not to beat ourselves up for not having done, I wish I did something better a year ago or 6 months ago or last week, whatever. We're not beating ourselves up. The point is to move forward. You are here right now. You're capable. You've got a huge mission in your heart, and we have to start building momentum towards achieving our goals. Okay. Let's talk about some of the mindset shifts that you can make to start to move towards your goals. Where I want to start with this is believing that great ideas flow through you. This is one of the things that just has helped me so much in overcoming the overthinking and procrastination and perfectionism is I believe that great ideas flow through me. And if that sounds too egotistical or too all about you, cool. Like believe that it comes from somewhere else. Believe that great ideas flow through. They're not even your ideas. They're great ideas that were given to you and they're flowing through you. And it's great. If the desire to serve is, if the intention is to help, it's a great idea because it came to you, because it was given to you. Therefore, it is a great idea. And that the next thing to do is to just start taking some kind of action. Because what ends up happening when you come up with a great idea, what ends up happening is we start to plan and we start to think and we start to judge. And we start to tell ourselves, oh, we can't do that. Oh, I didn't go to school for that. Oh, I'm not good enough. I'm not an expert enough. I don't know enough yet. I don't have the knowledge. I'm not there. I don't have the right gear to make a video. I don't know what the first page of my book is going to look like. I don't know what the cover is going to say, right? We start to immediately plan and overthink, and then nothing ends up happening. You wake up the next day and it's all over, right? Have you had these moments of boldness where it feels amazing? It's like, this is great. I could do this thing. I want to get this out to the world finally. Have you had those moments? And then it's not even your friends and family who talk you down from it. It's you. It's yourself. It's your own little voice in your head that's saying, I can't do this. I'm not good enough. Here's all the reasons why. And so spending that first bit of time on overthinking is the thing that prevents action. So the first thing to think about is just believe that great ideas flow through you. When I did the Instagram Live with Kira, when we came up with this book, it would have been easy to then spend the next 3 weeks, 3 months, 3 years, 3 decades overthinking it and planning it. But now in the moment, it's like, okay, this idea came to me, therefore it's a good one because great ideas flow through me, so I'm going to go off and do it. And what it does is it shortcuts your brain. Sometimes your brain is the enemy. Your brain is designed to keep you safe. Your brain is designed to keep you protected. Your brain is designed to keep you small. Denise says, yes, this is so me. Rebecca says, yes, all the time. It's a roller coaster sometimes. Sharika says, I've been holding myself back. I've been holding back my own self. It's my responsibility. Listen, and this is an amazing shift just in those words. It's my responsibility. Responsibility doesn't equal fault. We're not saying it's your fault. It's not your parents' fault. It's not the government's fault. It's not our friend's fault. It's not about placing blame anywhere. It's not saying, I wish I did this a year ago, right? It's about accepting responsibility. What is responsibility? It's your ability to respond. Right now, we're all here together. You have the ability to respond. You don't have to stay stuck. Where you could be in 1 year could be dramatically different compared to where you are right now if you respond. Then you have the ability to respond. Therefore, you have the responsibility. You can change it. And it may not be fair, and your circumstances may not be something that you would wish upon your friends or your kids, but you have the ability to respond. And the fact is, people with less than what you have right now have accomplished more. Your heroes, the people you look up to, have accomplished amazing things with less than what you already have right now. One of my favorite stories that anytime I think like I don't have enough, I don't have the team, I don't have the resources. This is a game that never gets old too, right? I mean, I've got 42 people on my team and I'm looking at people who are way ahead of me. It's like, well, I don't have 500 people on my team. So how can I do these big things, right? It just, you add a zero and another zero and another zero. It's just the thinking that we have to overcome. It's a human condition. So me personally, anytime I feel like I don't have enough. I don't have enough resources or capacity or money or time or whatever. I just think back to Oprah, and when she was young and growing up and didn't have her parents and was so poor that she went to school with dresses that her grandmother sewed for her out of potato bags. So her grandmother raised her. She couldn't afford to buy clothes for Oprah. So she went to school in these dresses that her grandmother sewed from potato sacks. Could you imagine showing up to school in a potato sack? Could you imagine the ridicule? Could you imagine what the kids would be saying? And so to go from where she went from to where she is now, it's hard to imagine. You're here. You have an internet connection. You've already won. You have everything you need right here in front of you. You have the ability to respond, and you have the ideas too. This is what is so frustrating. It's like you have great ideas, and dummies are winning off of your idea. You've got more heart and more care and more compassion than the people who are off there actually winning. The only difference is because you started. Those people started, and now you're going to start. We're going to make it happen. So the first mindset shift to think about is that believing that great ideas flow through you. The fact that it came to you and is of service to others, right? Just do a check. It's of service to others. Then it's a great idea and deserves a test. Taste and test became test, whatever I just said. It deserves you to test it out, right? Stop quenching the spirit. Stop sitting on the sidelines. Because it came to you, it doesn't have to be the whole big thing. When I started on YouTube, I didn't know that I'd be doing this. If I looked at YouTube in 2009, when I uploaded my first video with Mark Drager's help, he's in the chat. We love you, Mark. I would never have said, you know what's going to happen in 2022? I'm going to be doing this live. I'm going to be with this awesome guy who wears a million chains, and we're going to be doing this live stream in front of all these people. It's going to be great. No, no way. There's no way. There's no way I would have said that. And that's the kind of thing that holds us back from starting. And so the key thing is to just start. Lacey says, I love that having great ideas flow through me. My affirmation for today. Yeah, let that be your affirmation for life. Whenever you feel afraid, whenever you feel like you're overthinking it, whenever your head is getting in the way, it's like great ideas flow through me. Remind yourself that great ideas flow through you. This idea was given to you. We got to do something about it because we don't want to stay stuck for another year, 3 years, 10 years, and so on. Sagreed says, so true. Christy's given LOL. Sharika says, yes, yes. Las Curry says, great ideas flow through me has been a game changer of a mindset shift. Put it on your wall, write it on your wrist. I think even in the book, Kira read the book. Here's the person who helped me make this book, The Reality with the, let me see if I can find it. I think she wrote it on her arm. Kira, did you write that on your arm? It's somewhere in here. She wrote it on her arm and took a picture and posted it. Anyway, it's somewhere in here. Let that be your guiding spirit for life. You came up with an idea, therefore it's great. Go do something about it. And if you don't want to give credit to yourself, give credit to above. Here's what people tend to do. When we are in a frustrated, negative, upset mood, and an idea comes to us, we tend to act on it. You know, how many times have you snapped at somebody, a loved one in a fight? How many times have you cut somebody off, or when somebody cut you off, you want to drive past them just to kind of see what kind of person, you have to see what they look like what kind of person would cut me off. So you have to speed up to see who they are. You know, or if you're rushed or you're stressed, you don't show up as the best version of you, right? And these ideas come to us when we're feeling negative, low, down, frustrated, angry. And then we often take action on those things. You take action on the bad ideas. You send that email, you make that phone call, you go cut that person off, you say something that you don't mean, you're rude to somebody, right? We take action on the things, this is a human thing. We take action on the things that that come to us when we're in a negative state. But we're in a positive state and you're optimistic and hopeful and in service and gratitude, and I want to go change the world, and you get an idea, we don't do anything about it. And so that's the flip that we need to make. If an idea comes to you, do a quick little gut check. Say, am I in a good mood or in a bad mood? And if you're in a bad mood and you're frustrated and overwhelmed and stressed, that's maybe take some time. Maybe take a breather, come back tomorrow. Maybe you don't want to send that email just yet. Maybe you don't want to run up after that person. Like, that's a good time to pause and reflect. But if you're in service and energy and love, and I want to create something that's going to change the world, if that's how you're feeling, then you have to go do something about it. And just that mindset shift, that great ideas flow through me. Zandaman says, page 26. Kira writes on her arm with 5 thumbs up. Let me flip the page 26. There it is. Hey, Zandaman. Okay, so here, I guess you can't really see that well, but Kira read this part of the book. She was the first person to read the book and said, great ideas come to me. And she wrote it on her arm. And that's the reminder. Because what it does is give you permission. It gives you permission to act. It gives you permission to go do something. Because again, the only thing that you're missing is momentum. So the first mindset shift that I really want you just to, if you're going to have something in your head over and over and over again, you want to have a mantra, you want to put it in your prayers, you want to write it on your arm, you want to put it on your background, you want to change your cell phone background, you want to put it on your wall. Great things, well, great ideas flow through me. Great ideas. Cool. Rebecca says, love it. Cheryl says, we take action on the negative, bad ideas, but not so much the good ideas. That's a shift for me right there. Ricky says, speak. Kira says, it's still on my arm 9 weeks later. Everyday reminder. That is some serious permanent ink we use, Kira. I like it. Christopher is asking questions about balancing. Nick, do you want to pop into questions? How do you want to handle questions on this?
Yeah, just any questions that come through, pop them into the chat. I'm recording them, and then we can answer them at the end.
Got it. Okay. So keep your questions coming. Nick's writing it down and we'll get to it. I see questions that I just want to answer, so I don't want to mess with the flow of what Nick's got, because he spent a long time putting all of this stuff together. Action, action, action. Let's go, says Sharika. I love it. Tom says, love the gut check of time idea received. Yeah. If you're in a positive state and this is of service, go. That's enough permission. That's all the permission you need. You got to go. Now, in the book, I go through 7 different ideas. We don't have the time to go through all of them here on the live stream. But the first one is believe that great ideas flow through you. And the last one is focusing on the why over the how. If you can make this mindset shift, it'll change everything for you. What happens when you come up with an idea? We immediately start focusing on the how. We're researching, we're going to events, we're going to Google, we're going to YouTube, we're asking people, we're focusing on the, like, how do I do that? How do I make that happen? And what ends up happening is your best energy goes into the how. And then as you start diving into the how, you get overwhelmed. Has anybody had an idea? You start looking up how to do it, and then you get overwhelmed. You have an idea, I'm going to start a YouTube channel, right? Let's say that's one of your goals. I'm going to start a YouTube channel. Cool. You're all excited. You're going to change the world with your videos. Amazing. Then what happens? Okay, well, how do I do it? So I need to get a camera. What camera should I buy? And then you spend 3 hours looking at different cameras. Like, do I need the wide angle lens or want the regular? How am I going to get the film from the camera onto my computer? Oh, then it's on the computer. Did I use a good microphone? What microphone do I need to buy? How do I get the microphone to connect to the camera and then into my computer? And is it coming from both channels, or do I need special software? Oh my God, software. What software do I use? How do I have to edit this? Oh my God, how am I going to edit this video? Has that ever happened? Now we're like stuck in overwhelm and stress and how mode. And then guess what happens? Nothing happens. Right? Nothing happens. Karen says, definitely me. Last Curry is laughing, right? Definitely. Terry says, I did that once. It's fun, right? Like nothing happens because we're overwhelmed by the how. Now, it's not that the how isn't important, but it just can't be the first step. And understand that as you start to build, you can create the how. Rima says, ha, ha, ha. Louise says, you're speaking our minds. Simone says, yes, you're digging a deeper hole. This is what happens. You start digging this insanely deep hole and then you bury yourself in the hole. Right? And it's like, how do I dig up? Right? And then you can't and you're stuck. Brain on overdrive, says Sharika. Tom says, yes, been there. And then nothing happens. Yeah. I can't tell you how many times I see people getting overwhelmed by this. So then what ends up happening is we shrink down what we want to do. And then we get less excited because we've shrunken down. Because the big thing that you want to do is impossible. Because to do that, you need to have funding, and you need to have team, and you need to have more education, and you need to have better gear. You need to have. Ooh, and then Carolina in the chat popping there. Then the guilt forever for not taking action. That's right. Then you feel guilty. Then you knew you could have done something, and you look back and say, man, back in 2022, I could have done something. I had it. I had a huge idea in my heart, and I got stuck in the how, and then I never made. Right? Michael says, how indeed. More times than I even know. And so the mindset shift that I'd love for you to think about is to focus on the why instead of the how. So the first one we talked about, it's the first one in the book, is to believe that great ideas flow through you. And the last one, the seventh one, is focus on the why over the how. Remind yourself of why the thing you're doing is so important, of who you're going to serve, of how you're going to help, of like the people that you're going to reach, that you've got a story, a message, a desire to go off and create. Entrepreneurs who I love talking to the most, you make money by providing value. You're solving problems. You've been through something. I believe that your purpose comes from your pain. Whatever you struggled with the most is what you want to help other people through. You've been through wars to get to where you're at, and other people can learn from that. And if you're too afraid to get the content out because you're stuck in how mode, then people don't get served. People stay stuck. It's selfish not to create. And create could be YouTube content, could be a book, it could be speaking, it could be a whole host of things. It's like getting your art out into the world because it's going to change somebody's life. And when you can focus on that, when you can focus on the why instead of the how, when you can focus on why this is so important and then start, right? It's like so critical that you have to figure this out. Then you start taking the steps to figure it out. Terry says, your why will carry you through the times you're struggling with how. I have to remind myself of the why all the time, right? It can be hard, even for me, even however many years later, right? Started 2009 on YouTube, started with a website earlier, 5 or 6 years before that. It's easy for me to forget what I'm doing. It's like I'm just sitting here in my office, or I'm standing on a trampoline. Have you ever seen me bouncing or moving up and down a little bit because I'm on a trampoline? And I'm trying very hard not to move too much because this is me all day long. But it's kind of annoying to watch on a speech or on a webinar or a session together. So I'm trying to stay still. But when you can focus on that why, that this thing inside you has to come out and it's going to serve somebody, it's going to help people, that your story matters, that your purpose does come from your pain, it gives you the courage to get back into your heart and create. Because when you're in how mode, you're stuck in your head again. And I can't tell you how many conversations I've had with entrepreneurs, like, you're just stuck in your head again. You're stuck in, this stuff doesn't matter. You're stuck in your head. Go make, like, create. None of this will matter. Going to an event like this does not matter unless you create, which is why there's homework every day. And I don't want you to leave only feeling motivated. We got to do something by the end of these 5 days. You got to do something to take action towards your goals, and we'll guide you. We're here together, and you got some amazing people in this community. And part of doing a challenge format like this is you're not just learning from me, but you're with each other. And when you are doing something all by yourself, it's just really hard to get anything going. But when you're doing something with somebody else, it's much easier to follow through. For most of you here, you are probably the most optimistic, happy, service-facing person that you know. Like, you're the one pouring into other people, which is amazing. Awesome. Keep doing that. Most of your friends would never come to something like this. Most of your friends have resigned themselves to a lesser life. Most of your friends don't even know what higher standards look like. And that's not to beat them down. It's just where they're stuck. And you're pointing to them. Awesome. Keep doing that. And who's pointing to you? Who's telling you in a loving way that you could do more? In a loving way, not putting judgment on you, but in a loving way. You know, every time I meet Nick, I'm pushing him on something. He's like, yep, nodding off camera. Yeah, it's like, I can't help it. I see in Nick a man who can change the world, and he's got to do it. And I'm going to pull him to make it happen. It's like, it has to happen. So who's pulling you forward like that? Who's giving you belief that it's possible? And also the tactics and what to do. It's like, let's do it together. Let's go. Not just making you feel bad for not doing anything, you know? And so when you can be around those people, this is why we created this challenge. This is the thing that got me over the hump. Nick was pushing me on the challenge idea for a long time. It's like, you know what? Like, if we can all do this together, I think we can create some magical thing. Guys, we are going to make some magical things for the world happen by the end of these 5 days together. Magical things for the world by the end of these 5 days. I wrote this book in 5 days. You guys are going to create magic within these 5 days. Maybe for some of you, even today. It's going to happen. Terry is so supportive, empowering so many. Alan says, I maintain health through nature every day. I love it. Louise says, Evan, take me under your wing. Well, this is the easiest way to do it, right? Like, you guys are under the wing, but we're all doing it together. And so you are pouring in other people. Amazing. Keep doing that. And you need to be a part of a community. I think we're going to talk about that on day 3, but being part of a community to make that happen, you can just go further. And so play all in. You're here. You've got amazing humans here. Look at the love that's happening already in the chat on Facebook. I'm assuming on YouTube too. But look at the love that's already happening in the chat. These are the people that you want to be around and build something with. And so we're going to build some amazing things in the next 5 days. So whenever you're stuck, you have an idea, these 2 strategies, right? There's 7 strategies from the book of the mindset shifts for momentum. These 2 strategies pair well together. It's like you're believing great ideas flow through you, that because the idea came to you, it's amazing, and you have to go off and do it, and be quiet, head, we're taking action on this thing, right? And then focusing on the why over the how. Focus on why this is so important and it's going to change so many lives instead of getting stuck in the minutia of the how. It's critical. When I started writing this book, you know, Kira challenged me. We did the IG Live together. When are you going to start writing? Well, it has to be now because it's a book about momentum. And I, you know, immediately I get stuck in the how. Well, how many pages? I've already written a couple of books before with major publishing houses. I've been through the process. Like, that's a lot of work. How am I going to get started? How many chapters? How many words? What are the themes going to be? And I'm just going to start writing. Just start writing. Just start writing. Even if I throw the whole thing away, just start writing. Just start writing. Write. And I wrote for a couple hours. And then I went for a walk with my wife, Nina. One of the things we love doing in the afternoon is we go for an afternoon walk and talk about the day and take it in. It's beautiful right now. I'm from Toronto, Canada. We don't have a ton of sun most of the year, unlike Nick, who's in San Diego, very jealous, sun all the time. Toronto's cold and snowy and icy and slushy not most of the year, but a chunk of the year. It's like when we get sun, like, yes, let's go enjoy. So we go for an afternoon walk with Nina. And on that walk, I start planning the next step. It's like, okay, I wrote the 7 mindset shifts, right? I laid that out. Is it going to be 7 in each section? How many sections am I going to have? I started planning out what I'm going to do tomorrow. And I did that every day. So over the 5 days that I wrote the book, I did a walk outside, I talked to Nina, and I planned out what I was going to do next. Instead of having the perfect plan from the beginning and then never doing anything. Jody says Ottawa is colder. That's true. But compared to most of the people here, I see Nick. He comes in and he's like beet red because he's been chilling on the beaches of California. And, you know, I'm here in Toronto. So we try to enjoy the sunshine when we can. Okay. So focus on the why over the how, and it gets you into action mode. We're going to do some homework at the end of this, where we're going to get you to think about what is the big thing that you want to do. So I want to plant a seed right now. We're going to do some questions. If you have questions, Nick's taking questions. He's already got a file, but you got a burning question, pop it in the chat. Nick's keeping track. I'm going to go through a few of them. But the homework, I want to plant a seed. I want you to think about what is the big thing that you want to create that just doesn't have enough momentum for you right now. It's a big thing that you want to create that's not just for you, that's for the world, that's for service, it's going to impact many people's lives. What is that big thing on your heart? And forget about the how. Don't worry about the judgment around the how, because we judge ourselves. And when you tell people about it, here's the key thing. When you tell people about your big idea in most of your circles back home, right? It's immediate judgment. How are you going to do that? Not this group. This is a group of special humans. So we're going to share, and I'll give you the instructions on how to do it at the end, but we're going to share what is your big idea? What is the thing that needs to have more momentum? And then as you post, I want you to encourage somebody else out. Encourage somebody else on. Look at what they're posting and give them some love. Because this is a safe community. These are awesome humans. And if anybody, we've never had anybody be negative and toxic. If you are, you're out. You're out of the contest, the challenge. Goodbye. Love only in here. And feel what it feels like to be around supportive people and start building momentum. Okay. So I'm going to plant that seed. Start thinking about, maybe you already know it. Maybe you got to do some more thinking of it. But what is the big idea that you want to create that is missing momentum right now, that you don't have any idea how to do? We're releasing ourselves from the how. You have no clue. You might be a complete dummy at how to do this thing. Cool. Don't stress about that. We're not thinking about the how at all. We'll get into that. What is the thing that lights your soul on fire that has to come out that you just don't have enough momentum on? Start thinking. All right, let's hit some questions. Nick's been paying attention. So what do we got, Nick? I mean, this is so amazing. I love all the comments.
This is incredible. Y'all are, I just want to let you know, we've had, over 500 people live at the same time concurrently during this challenge just alone. Between, people who have gotten in and out, we've had thousands of people on this stream with us today. We have over mounting thousands of comments. So thank you guys so much for being here and sharing with us, because it's been really incredible. And I have been in the comments recording your questions. And right now we have a dozen or so, but please, if you have a question about today's training, post it in the Facebook group chat right now. And I'll get it over to my little document. As far as questions, Evan, I think before we dive into some of the more pointed questions, I noticed in the very beginning when we were talking, when you asked a question, you said, tell me how you feel. Tell me what the one thing stopping you from actually gaining that momentum is. We had dozens of people who would write in and they would almost land in the same bucket. So I thought maybe it might be beneficial to address some of those buckets that are stopping people from gaining momentum first before we dive into some of the more pointed questions. And some of them are, so how would you feel, or how would you deal with when you're trying to start a new project, you're trying to gain momentum, that overwhelming, not good enough feeling, or really imposter syndrome?
The idea with teaching the 2 mindset shifts, and really the 7 that are in the book, is that it applies to any of the fears or insecurities that you have. So if you're dealing with imposter syndrome right now, who am I to share this message? Well, 1, you believe that great ideas flow through you. It came to me, so it's a good idea, so I have to go do something. And then 2, you focus on why it's so important instead of the how. When you can focus on who you're serving and who this thing is going to help, it just gives you a lot more courage to push through. Like, I'm an imposter is your brain holding you back. And you don't create great things from your brain. You create from your heart. And the things that you create don't make logical sense. And so when your heart and your brain are not connected, when your heart and your head are not aligned, you listen to your heart, not your head. And so one of the things that I love the teaching, and is also in here, is number 2, which is the ideas that come to you when you're feeling bold are the right ones for you. So what we're trying to do in this community right now, and this is actually a good little test. I'd love to know how you're feeling. What's your boldness level right now compared to when we started? So we started this live stream 46 minutes ago. What's your boldness level from 46 minutes ago to now, out of 10? Give me two numbers from number 1 to number 2. Your level of boldness of how much you feel like you can accomplish something amazing. Christopher seems like 1 million. Where did we start from? Alice is saying 8. Where did you start from 46 minutes ago? Because you didn't all start at a 0, right? I mean, we started at something. And where are you now? What are the two numbers? Louise says 7. Cool. It says, where did you start? So Sigrid says from a 7 to a 9. Jody says from a 5 to an 8. Kira says boldness is turned up all the way. Right? Level pumped, says Sharika. Zan says from a 5 to a 9.5. Debbie says 10 times. Denise says 4 to a 9. Right? And so this isn't just me doing this. This is all of us. This is our collective energy doing this, right? Cheryl says from a 2 to a 7. Jennifer from a 4 to an 8. Leanne from a 3 to a 9 is great. You know, it's like this is what happens when you're around amazing humans. And so, I mean, part of the goal becomes to join a great community, whether it's mover makers or something else. And, you know, we'll talk about that later on. But the ideas that come to you when you're feeling bold are the right ones for you. So whenever you're in a bold environment, so you've come here and in 48 minutes, you've turned up, right? Maybe you're not all at 10s, that's okay, but you're ahead. Nobody had a negative number, so that's good. It's like, I started at an 8 when I saw Nick and his change, and then you came on and now I'm at a 3, right? Like nobody went down, so that's great. Good job, thank you. Or if you have, you're not saying it, but we still love you. So when you are feeling a heightened sense of boldness, it allows you the permission to dream, to fly, to feel like things are possible. That smaller version of you, that 2 version of you, or whatever your earlier number was, doesn't think is possible. And so you don't give yourself the permission to even think about it. And so now that we've raised your level of boldness a little bit, and that can happen through events like this, or when you're reading the book, or if you're listening to music, or you're at somewhere else, you're talking to a friend, like that can happen in a lot of different places. But when you're feeling bold, we don't live in boldness most of the time. That's part of the problem. But when you are feeling bold, and if your boldness level has gone up, and then an idea comes to you, that's the idea for you. So you're stuck on imposter syndrome. Cool. If you started here at a 2, and now you're at a 7, all of a sudden the imposter syndrome is not as relevant anymore. What's the idea? What is that idea that you want to build for yourself? What is the book, the YouTube channel, the video, the speaking career, the business, the relationship? Like, what is the thing that you want to do? And we've got 5 days together, so we're going to dive into a lot of different things. But day 1 is just a mindset shift to create the boldness, to give yourself permission to dream and start to speak out some of these things. Maybe for the first time. Maybe you've never even admitted to another human what your big goal is, the big thing you want to create, how you want to change the world, right? Even just talking about changing the world. Most of your friends don't want to talk about that. Like, you're crazy, that's not possible. And then it shuts you down, right? People are linking up the book. I love you guys. Yeah, you want to check it out? There it is, Momentum. All the strategies are in here. Does that help, Nick?
Absolutely. And actually, Sophia just posted a comment, which the comment question, and it correlates a lot with one of the buckets or the themes that I noted earlier. But she said, I have an endless list of things that I want to do. I'm super curious. I can't just choose one. So for people who are starting too many projects at once, or having a difficult time honing down and choosing one thing to focus on, what advice would you give?
You're trying to make a heart decision with your head. There's no list. If you're going through it on a list, you're in your head. You've already lost. You're not gonna, by looking at the list, you're going to pick the safest, most realistic, smallest bet. This is a heart question first. So of the things that you want to do, of the things that you want to create, of the things that you want to make, allow yourself to dream. Allow yourself to fly. Close your eyes and imagine yourself actually flying. It might feel like a weird analogy or experience, but imagine yourself, you're flying. Like, anything is possible. Listen, I love practical. I'm not just a dreamer. we're gonna talk about how to make things happen, and we're gonna make you make things happen. But it starts with a dream. And if you're just making a list of things, then it's not the dream. You know, it's like if you make a list of pros and cons and if you should marry this person or not, you might have 100 cons, but the one that's on the pro is the reason why you love that person, you're going to marry them. As soon as you start making pros and cons lists, you've already lost, because you're in your head mode and you're going to play small. You pick the safest, smallest, most secure option on that list because it's realistic and practical and what you've been taught to do and what all your friends think you should do too. So get rid of the list. Out of your head, into your heart. What do you want to do? What do you want to make? If you had no limits, what would you create? What would the boldest version of you say? That comment of what would the boldest version of you do came from me helping Danny, who was my videographer at the time, and he was struggling with a decision. Like, should I do this or this? And I won't, you know, I'm not going to share his story as a personal thing, but between the two choices that were in front of him, it's like, Danny, get out of your head, stop it. What would the most bold version of you do? And then clarity. But it was a scary one. You know, it was the one that he didn't know how to do, but it was the right one for him. So if you're stuck on thinking about the thing to do, what would the most bold version of you do? You can ask yourself that question. You can imagine that you're flying. You could give yourself permission to dream. But like if you release the chains that are on you right now, holding you down to the ground, what would you want to do? And maybe it's not even anything even on that list now. Here's something completely different. That's the thing. That's the thing that you have to do, because that's the thing that's going to change the world.
Get out of your head and throw the list out the window. That's momentum. I have also another question here from Louise Brown. So she said, my question is, how do you maintain your momentum and how do you stay consistent? Is this where most people fall off?
It's definitely where a lot of people fall off. We're going to cover that on day 3, is how to, so day 1 today is a mindset shift of just believe that great ideas throw through you. What would the boldest version of you do? Focusing on the why instead of the how. It's like, what is that big idea that you've got that we want to create? Day 2, we're going to talk about starting the momentum, like how to take that dream you've got and what is our first step to actually creating some action. And then day 3 is going to be about maintaining that action, maintaining the connection. So I don't want to spend too much time on that because we're going to spend a whole day, well, maybe not a whole day, but a whole session on day 3 going through it. But it will, at the end of the day, if I give a high level answer, will come down to environment and community. So the environment that you have, which includes the habits that you're doing consistently, and the community that you're around. If we were all, imagine, if we all showed up like this every day, and you had all of these amazing people in the chat, when you share an idea, people are liking it, commenting and thumbs up in it. If you're around those people every day, imagine you woke up and everybody was cheering you on, you would go off and create amazing things just automatically. The problem is we don't have the habits, we don't have the environment, we don't have the community to keep things going. And communities, as someone for me who's introverted and shy and don't have a strong need to be around people, I realized I need community a lot more than I thought. You know, like if I was to go back and give 19-year-old Evan who's struggling in his first business some advice, like, dude, you got to get in the community. The reason why you're stuck. Sure, there's lots of hows on how to fix it. It's like, just be around awesome humans who are doing this thing, who can at least cheer you on and who can inspire you to take some kind of action. You know, change your community and it'll make all the difference in the world. Like, yes, you keep pushing other people, but you need the people who are pushing you. Zen demands his community is family. Makes a huge difference. We'll dive deeper on day 3 though. So I don't want to, we'll move on to other questions. I don't want to cut that one too short, but we'll dive deep on day 3.
Love it. And next up, Andrea Brett is with us. And when you were talking about the idea of acting on positive versus the negative ideas, she said the concept is gold. It's so true. Is there a reason that we find ourselves acting on more negative ideas than positive?
I don't know. You know, I don't know enough about the brain chemistry to to answer that question. But observationally, I see it, and I've done it. And even me, it's like when I see something negative, it's easier for me to want to act. And when I come up with something positive, I easily want to stay small. And so these are some of the strategies. First, like all of these strategies I'm going to share over these 5 days, it's not just that they're in the book. Like I use them myself. These are for me that worked. And then I shared them with other people. Like, oh, this works too. And so I don't know the answer. Maybe a Harvard scientist has the answer somewhere. I'm not honestly too focused on it because it's happening. So I'm more on the, okay, so this is happening. I don't want it to keep happening. I need to fix it. And so these are some of the strategies to actually fix it.
Perfect. Jane Richard Sorrell, I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. She made a comment, and I thought it could be very relevant to where a lot of people are. I know I was there, a few years ago, and it was that, I waste so much time always watching other people's success and not taking action to achieve my own. Right. So let's talk first steps for a second. And I know a lot of people kind of get into that academia mode, or that educational mode, where they're learning a lot and they're not necessarily taking that bold, momentous step forward to actually start taking action. Is there anything that you can, tell the audience about separating from that over analytical side and just diving into, that next step and actually moving forward?
Well, we'll talk more about the first steps tomorrow, but even in how you frame the questions, like I'm afraid to take that bold, momentous step. Well, that's the key. Like the first step is not a bold, momentous step. First step is tiny. The first step is nothing. The first like reduce the perfection on what that first step needs to look like. We've got Ida here in the chat, and Ida is in Movement Makers, my training program for entrepreneurs, thought leaders. And I did a challenge about a month ago or so, maybe 2 months ago, where I was pushing people to get on the TikTok. Like, guys, you need to get on the TikTok. And what we do in Movement Makers is start to train people. How do you get a message out to the world? It's like, get on TikTok. You got to start sharing. And a lot of people are stuck. Like, oh, I don't use TikTok. Yada, 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 right? Ida just started. She's sitting in her car and she's talking to people, like the first one sucked. And the next one stuck a little bit less, and the next one stuck a little bit less. Nina Carmichael says, Ida is awesome. Yes, we love Ida. And she sent a message in our Discord yesterday saying that she got 5,000 followers in one day. So she had 500 followers like a week ago, and then got 1,000 followers, and then 2,000 followers, and then 8,000 followers. She just gained almost 8,000 followers in a week, because she just started posting, and she's gotten better at the posting and the creating. And so it's a big challenge, because we know what good looks like. You can see somebody else and you inspire by them, and we know what good looks like. You see Nick, he's like, oh my gosh, this guy is so comfortable on camera, and what a great host he is, and he's on top of everything. I wish I was like that, or whoever, Les Brown or Oprah Winfrey or Tony Robbins or Evan Carmichael or whoever you think is amazing. They're like, oh, I can't do that. And then when you start doing it, you definitely can't do that. Your first whatever is going to suck. You get on a bicycle, what happens? You get on a bicycle and go be Lance Armstrong and go win races? No. You know what good looks like, but you can't do it yourself yet. You get on a bicycle and you fall. And you go a foot and then you fall again, and somebody's holding the back seat, or you have your wheels on, and eventually you start figuring it out, right? Step by step. But it's expecting the fall and expecting to suck at the beginning, even though you know what good looks like. And when you start and it doesn't work out, we often take that personally, like, oh, I must suck. Why did you expect to be great your first time out at anything? Anything. Like, what skill did you just pick up and you crushed at anything? And because we can't separate between us sucking at the skill versus us sucking as a human, then we stop. Where if you can split those out. David says, my first bike, and I fell, body slammed it. Yeah, you're gonna fall. You're gonna hurt yourself. It's not gonna be pretty. It's gonna be bad. That's okay. Like, just expect it to suck. When I go into something new, I just expect it to just totally suck. It sucks, not I suck. Another important mindset shift. The fact that it didn't work out at the beginning and that it sucks doesn't mean that you suck as a human being. It just means you do not have the skill set yet. And by continuing on, you become an Ida. And you get 5,000 people following you in one day. 5,000 followers took me like 5 or 6 years to get on YouTube. What? Let's go, Ida. That's great. Because she just did it when she wasn't even on TikTok before. And she just loaded it up, took out her phone, started recording videos, and now here she is. Where other people are still trying to figure it out. What camera do I use? And is there editing? Do I use captions and stickers and soundtracks and hashtags? And what's the topic? And oh, I have a pimple on my face and all of this other stuff. And then you don't make, right? Right? You go.
That was actually one of the things that changed my life and the trajectory of my business so much, because I know, and I think this will resonate with a lot of the people that are in the chat, because a lot of you have mentioned perfectionism as being one of the things that holds you back from gaining the momentum. And that was me. Like, I would spend hours, days, months, like making sure my logo was perfect, or like stupid little stuff like that. And it would stop me from actually getting started. I would lose so much time, and then I wouldn't actually take that tiny step forward, just to find out that none of that mattered. The lead magnet that I spent all this time on, no one actually liked. I had to pivot it, and I created one in 24 hours, and it was received so much better. And I remember one of my something that stuck with me for a long time. One of my first mentors, who really helped me out of this, told me that if you're not embarrassed by your first video or your product, you launch too late, right? So just get out there, take that first step. It's going to not be great, and if you're a perfectionist like I was, you're just going to have to swallow that bullet.
When we first came on the call, I saw Nick, like, oh, Nick, I don't recognize you without your gel. You look like 10 years younger. And he's like, oh, I was working on this and couldn't get to go see my barber, and whatever, let's go. We're still making, right? Like, it's like, what do you allow yourself off the hook for is really important. To the logo thing, I was talking to an entrepreneur this week about her logo, and just going back and forth on the logo and the colors and the imagery, and like wanting to be perfect. It's like, just go, like pick something and go. I sent her Apple's first logo. If you're stuck on your logo, guys, go look up Apple's first logo. Go look up Pepsi's first logo. Like, iconic brands. Go look up Starbucks's first logo. Go look up their first logo. Apple's first logo was terrible. Go look it up. Right? And then they changed it a year later. It's okay. Right? Like, the having a air quotes like bad logo cannot be a good enough reason for you not to create. We iterate. So you do the best you can with what you've got right now. And then as you get better and you learn the skills and you improve, guess what? You're going to make it better. Maybe in 6 months, you develop some graphic design skills, and then you can change it. Or maybe in 6 months, you meet an amazing graphic designer in your community now that you've built, who then you hire or partner with or mentor or train. And then that person does the logo for you, right? Where we're stuck and like, we have to do everything ourselves, and it all has to be perfect ourselves. And then you don't make it. And we're stuck like weeks thinking about logo instead of making the thing. What do we, is your big goal, like, back to what's the big thing? What are we trying to create? You're trying to change the world somehow. What do we want to make? A logo that everybody talks about? No, that is not on your list of like the big thing that you want to make. That is not your main goal. And somehow this thing has now sucked up all of your energy for the past 3 weeks, right? It happens to everybody. It happens to me. I lost a $40 million deal when I was 22 because of that, right? So I'm a recovering perfectionist myself. And perfectionism really is just, it's the fear of being judged. It's the fear of looking bad. And so inside of that, think about, what would be your message to other people? Like, if you're going back and you're telling your kids, or you're telling younger you, what's your message? Don't try. So your kids are here, or future kids, if you don't have kids yet, they're struggling with something and they're being perfectionists. You're going to tell, oh yeah, don't try. Yeah, just don't do that. Just sit on that and think about it for years, and then never do it. Right? Of course not. But that's the message that you're giving out to the world, right? To yourself, to the world, to the people around you. is you're consuming, which is awesome, but not creating. And so you have to, if you want people to follow you, you want people to change around you, you don't even have to tell them anything. It's not even a coaching session. It's just you showing up and doing the thing. You going out there and failing. One of my favorite Kanye West quotes was, whether you like Kanye or not, with all the crazy, things that he's got going on. But he said, the willingness to try is an inspiration. The willingness to try is an inspiration. And it's an inspiration for yourself to show yourself what you're capable of, as well as the people around you. Like, how is he doing that? How is she doing that? It's like, I don't know. I don't know how I'm doing it, but I'm focusing on the why over the how. And just because I suck at the thing right now doesn't mean I'm going to suck forever.
There's also something to be said briefly about the idea that 99.9% of the time you spend, really focusing on perfectionism and getting the concept down, it's never actually going to unfold that way. And until you actually take that step forward and you start the process, you're not going to be able to get to the key pivoting points and the decisions that you actually have to make to actually get this project off the ground and moving forward. Because how you think it's going to go, 99.9% of the time, you're going to launch and there's going to be a massive left-hand turn, and then you just have to deal with that. And that's the next step. So next question we have from I think Monet Moore. Forgive me if I'm mispronouncing, but what do you do when you're surrounded by negative people that always speak negatively and shut down every possible or positive thing that you're trying to do? And one of them could even be your parent. I know we've talked about this a lot in one of our last challenges, but thoughts on that?
Yeah, I don't know if we'll get to one of these ideas in a future day, but I don't believe in negative people. So even in the premise of the question, I've gone through the year one word exercise, and the built to serve exercises with so many different people. And if you get down to the core, ask them what is your single most important core value, it's always positive. It's always people are good. Even if somebody is showing up negatively, at the core, they want to be good. If you ask them and they spend some time thinking, what's the most important core value? It's not going to be hatred or troll or death or whatever, right? It's always something positive. Okay, so then why is this person being so negative? Again, just like our last question, we're separating out the behavior from the person. The fact that you suck at a skill doesn't mean you suck as a person. The fact that somebody is being negative doesn't mean they are a negative person. It's an important shift. Why would somebody who is a good person be so negative? Because they're in pain. Because hurt people. Because they're struggling. Because they're probably barely hanging on themselves. Because they're afraid. Because they have no idea what to do. Like, you saw the hurt and pain at the beginning of this session, right? Like, why are you not posting all of the fears and insecurities that people had, that you guys have, right? That we all have? You're here at least showing up and trying to change it and trying to be around positive people, right? And trying to make a shift forward. The people you're around, they're not doing any of that work. So now they're all by themselves struggling, hanging out with other people who are also struggling and being negative and complaining. And so it's almost expected behavior. They're just in a ton of pain. It's like yelling at a baby or judging a baby for pooping their diapers. That's what babies do. Right? So I expect somebody who's in a lot of pain and hurt to be showing up with a negative mindset, but they're not negative people. And what it does is shift how you show up for them, because, and it takes practice, and you're not going to get it perfect out of the gate, right? But showing up with compassion and empathy and understanding instead of judgment. Oh, that's a really negative person. Stop judging them. They're in a lot of pain. Quite often, and this is a tricky scenario when it's, these are your parents that we're talking about, at some point, you have to become the adult in the relationship. At some point, you realize you probably know more than your parents on some of these things. And you have to be the adult in the relationship now. They've almost become the child. I mean, at some point they might get to an age where they are and like they can't make decisions for themselves at all, but you might already be there now. You might be 16 and already know more than your parents on some of these things. And so you have to be the adult in the relationship. You have to have compassion and care and empathy for them when all you want is for them to give it to you. Right? Well, they're the adult, they're the parent, they're supposed to X. Well, that's judgment, right? They're supposed to judgment. They're struggling. They grew up in a world that is completely different than yours. The things that are possible now is wouldn't have even been a dream when they were your age. Your parents at your age, what a different world. Completely different. And so it's just a perspective shift. And it's not like feeling bad for them and telling them how bad you feel, right? Then you're not actually feeling bad for them. It's judgment again. It's just recognizing that they're in a lot of pain. They might, probably love you. I hope. Most parents love their kids. They may not, but most parents love their kids. Kind of hardwired into us. And they want the best for you, but they have a different view of the world than you. And yours is probably more accurate. So what do you have to do? You have to be the adult in the relationship. You have to have more perspective, care, kindness, empathy, compassion than they do. And that allows you to pull them along. Whether that's a relationship, like a parent relationship, a business partner, friends, it's easier to leave a kindergarten friend, right? Like the friends you grew up with may not be the same friends you need to have right now. It's harder to leave a parent. But if you want to shift the people who are around you, this is one of the biggest questions I get asked. Ida's in the house. We love you, Ida. Ida, you got a lot of love for all your TikTok stuff. Just willingness to take action. If you want to shift the people around you, like people ask me, well, I'm growing, I'm learning, I read all the books, I'm going to events and I'm investing in myself. And the biggest thing people want to do is not even their own life. It's like, how do I change the people around me? Right? How do I change them? It's not about going and having a conversation and say, Nick, you need to change your life. And here's why, right? Because even if it's love, it shows up as judgment. It's compassion and kindness and empathy, and you prove it by doing the actual work yourself, by going off and making and creating and chasing down your dream, that big idea that everybody thinks is impossible, and you start doing it. And again, the willingness to try becomes an inspiration. If you go on a weight loss journey and you lose 40 pounds, like, maybe I can do that too. Sure, all of these big fitness YouTubers and people on TV and celebrities who hire all these fancy trainers can do it. But if you can do it, maybe I can too. This is why it's so important to share your story. In Movie Makers, I talk about the difference between twin content and titan content. When you're sharing, if you're gonna make a YouTube video or Instagram or TikTok or book or speech or whatever, we're often just trying to be the titan. We want to be the Oprah Winfrey or Tony Robbins or whoever, right? We want to be that big person. But the message that will actually land is the twin content, where it's like, I see myself in you. You're not that far ahead of me. Oprah might be, think about your friends and family and these air quote negative people, right? Who are just people in a lot of pain. They look to an Oprah Winfrey and say, that's impossible. Like, there's no way I can do that. And we'll probably throw a lot of judgment on, well, to be that successful, you have to lie, cheat, and steal and rip people off, and all of these reasons, right, of why they can never get there. That's the titan. So if you're coming in with titan content, one, you're not going to be as good as Oprah at doing it. And two, it's going to be a disconnect from most of the people that you want to serve. What's going to resonate? The twin content. Be the twin. If you can do it, it makes me feel like I can do it too. So if you start to write your book, maybe I should go chase down my dream a little bit too. If you go and start eating healthier, maybe I eat a little bit healthier too. If you go and sign up for a marathon, maybe I start doing some walking. Like, the people who are around you who are negative may not pass you, right? You're pulling them. But Denzel Washington has said every time he takes a step up on the staircase of growth, he reaches back and helps people get to the step just below him. Right? So every time you go up and you're learning and you're improving, you're taking another step on your path of growth, that becomes an inspiration to the people around you. Like, maybe I can do something too. Maybe I can just get started. So if you can embody that, it's like, hey, the momentum you take here isn't just momentum for you. isn't just a lesson for the world. It's for the people closest to you. To see you have the willingness to be afraid and still show up and make and risk failure and still show up again and make and risk failure and still show up again becomes an inspiration for them to maybe believe that their dream is possible too. That dream that they have that maybe they can't even name because it's been sitting in their closet for the past 20 years. There's no negative people. There's people in a lot of pain.
It's one of my favorite quotes that you ever said to me was hurt people, and it was always stuck with me for a long time. We're going to answer a couple more questions before we kind of re-wrap into what the homework assignment is. I want to make sure you guys, we've had thousands of people on here with us for almost an hour and a half. So I want to say thank you so much for being here with us and being in the comments. Obviously, we want to be courteous of your time. We know as much as we would all love to hang out here and be here all day, we want to let you guys go out and actually start taking steps and building momentum. So we're going to answer one or two more questions. If I didn't get to your question today with Evan, I am recording all of these documents, and we do have an entire Q&A day that we're going to go back. We're going to answer any unanswered questions, and we'll be able to answer more questions in there as well. Okay, so next question. This is from, and this does play into what we were just talking about, but I think the way that she phrased it was really great. But Deb said, do we continue and push forward? And that was what it was. Do we continue? And I think the answer you're going to say is always yes. But do we continue and push forward even when, especially when others are criticizing and demeaning us at every step? Thank you.
Well, there's a couple things in there. One, it's not every step, right? They're not demeaning you and criticizing you at every step. There's a lot of hidden steps that they don't even see. And there's a lot of steps they're not booing on. So we're making this bigger than it is. It's not every step. There's no way it's every step. Do we continue? That's again a heart question. So the answer is not always go continue. The answer might be stop. But the reason behind it is because your heart's not into it. I think a lot of people actually stay in the wrong business or the wrong relationship for too long because they're afraid that they stopped loving it years ago, but they're still stuck in it. And yes, the answer needs to be to move on like ASAP, because you'll never win doing work that you hate. You'll never win in a relationship that you hate either. But if your heart is into it, it's like, I love this thing. I don't know how, right? We're focused on the why over the how. I don't know how to make this work yet, but I love doing this thing. Then I have to keep going. This is how I kept going on my journey. Is one of the most common questions I get asked when people see my YouTube stats of like year over year, how well I did in the early days, right? What kept me going is like, I thought I was helping at least some people. You know, that I'm not winning. I'm not getting tons of results. It's not happening. Most of you already, like, I would look at Ida, who like gets 5,000 subscribers in one day, and I'm stuck at less than 5,000 subscribers in 5 years, right? Like, but I love it. And so I have to keep going. And I need to use my head to help me keep going, to figure out the path, but I know I have to keep going. So that's a heart question, right? If you love it, you have to keep going, because you will look back on this in a year, 2 years, 5 years, 10 years, and regret quitting so early.
Again, and there's also something to be said for falling out of love with the way you do something, right? And Evan, you and I talk about that. We've been talking about this more recently. Like, I'm going through this in my life and in my business right now. I'm restructuring things and I'm rebuilding things because Evan is nodding so so aggressively. But I'm restructuring, I'm rebuilding, I'm reorganizing my team and doing different things because I absolutely love what I do. But I have built my process, over the years in a way that I'm no longer in love with the way I do certain things in my business. It's an interesting dichotomy to look back at because I couldn't have started any other way. So no matter how much I want to, and I wish I could have gone back and I could have done something different, the way that I started was what got me here. But now I have the wherewithal to understand I love what I do, just not the way that I do it. And I can actually therefore go in and shift a lot of these things around. So also be aware of that difference. Just because you may have fallen out of love with a part of the process doesn't mean you've fallen out of love with what it is that you do.
Let me get to Gail's question. She's asking about the homework, and she has to go to a client meeting. Wasn't sure how long this would be, and we earmarked like an hour, but I love answering questions and helping people. But let's do the homework, and then maybe we answer one or two, or however we want to wrap up for today. Nick, here's the homework. Okay. If we do a quick recap, we're believing that great ideas flow through you. You've got a big mission. You've got a big idea. You want to change the world. It sounds crazy. The people around you don't believe you. You don't believe you. But we're going to suspend disbelief. We're going to believe in ourselves magically for a few minutes and believe that this great idea that we've got will work and will be impactful and will change the world. We're going to focus on the why over the how, right? Like why this thing has to exist, and not being shackled by the how we're going to make it yet. We're going to talk a lot about building a momentum towards making it happen. That's coming up in the next 4 days. That's why we're doing this over 5 days. What is your big idea? What is the impact that you want to have? It doesn't have to be fully crystallized and fully perfect. In fact, the less perfect it is, the better. This is a great exercise in teaching yourself to start to build momentum. Here's the homework. I want you to post your idea, your big idea, in the Facebook group. If you guys are watching on YouTube live, this is all happening inside our Facebook group. You still have time, momentumchallengelive.com. Go there. You'll get into our Facebook group and you get to participate with all these amazing humans here. Ideally, if you guys are up for it and you want the push, you make a video. It's a video of you sharing your big idea, sharing the impact that you want to have. Whether it's a book, a speech, a business, whatever it is, whatever is on your heart. Close your eyes, tap in your heart, make a video and share it. The less perfect, I don't want to see fancy videos. I don't want to see you in your fancy studio. I want to see you in your car. I want to see you outside walking. I want to see you without a microphone. Like, just get rid of this. None of this. This is too fancy. Phone, video, record. You don't even know what you're going to say. Cool. This doesn't have to be something we post publicly. It's just for us, for our group here inside Facebook. It's for you, and capture this moment, because this is the starting point. What is your big idea? It could be 10 seconds. It could be 3 minutes. It could be 10 minutes, whatever comes. Don't stress. There's no perfect time, guys. There's no perfect. We're removing perfect. Don't stress about any of that stuff. We're just trying to put things that are on our heart and put it onto ideally camera where we're filming it. Okay. If you are not ready quite yet to film it on camera, do a picture of yourself and type it up. And if you're not ready to do that yet, just type it up. Some people want the push. Some people are ready. Some people are trying to get out of the comfort zone. This is the safest group to do it in. We're not asking you to post your public Facebook or post a YouTube video where people are going to criticize you. This is the safest group to do it, and let us pour love and energy and connection into you. To get the most out of this challenge, you need to do the work. This isn't a lot of work. It's a scary step, but it's not a super time-consuming one. Do not spend 3 hours making this video. No. Pull out your phone, say, here's what's on my heart, and prep. If you want to use that as your starting point, here's what's on my heart. Record. Post to the group. Ideally, you can't do that picture with text. You can't do that text, but something. You've got a huge mission inside you. It's time to get it out from here and out to the world. This is your safest starting point to let us do it all together. Terry says Facebook Live, I presume. Just film a video. Film a video on your phone. Don't go live. Just film a video and post it as a post. Which idea do I share from my arsenal? You start like this, Jason. Here's what's on my heart. Press record and post. Heart, record, post. Mariella, how many minutes? No. Heart, record, post. It doesn't matter how many minutes. It doesn't matter how many seconds. Here's what's on my heart. Record, post. And if you're not there yet, Then you type it up. Here's what's on my heart. Record. I would do this, me personally, if I was being challenged outside, I would not do it here. Don't do it at home. Don't do it in your film studio. Go to the car, go to a park, go outside, go to your bedroom. Everybody has a phone. Here's what's on my heart. Here's what's on my heart. Christy posted it. Heart, record, post, and bonus, cheer other people on. For some of you, this is the first time you've ever shared these words out loud. For some of you, it might be the first time you've admitted this to yourself that you want these things. For some of you, this is easy peasy. Cool. For the movement makers in the house, you've been through some of these exercises already. So cheer somebody else on too. After you post, cheer somebody else on too who has posted. So it's all happening inside of our Facebook group. After you post, go cheer somebody else on. Give them love, give them encouragement, let them know what you think. Nobody has this level of support in their day-to-day lives. So we can be that for each other as well. So that's the homework. Teresa says, how deep do we go? Teresa, here's what's on my heart. Press record, post. You go as deep as what your heart tells you. All of these how questions we're stuck in our head. This is the homework to get out of our head and into our heart. Here's what's on my heart. If you sneeze in the middle of it, you keep going. If you forget what you're going to say, you keep going. If you trip and fall down, you keep going. Just here's what's on my heart. If you stumble and don't have the perfect words, then that's actually the best thing you can ever do. This is why you do not have enough momentum. All of these how questions. Teresa says, okay, I love it. This is the most important first step that you can take. It might feel like it's not enough. Don't stress about that. We're going to push harder in the upcoming days. And please do the work because this will make the difference. Don't show up and just listen. The active participation, we're doing this exercise for free to help carry you together, like we're all holding hands together, trying to move down the journey together so that we're not stuck at the starting line constantly. Nina says momentum. Here's what's on my heart. Record, post. That's it. And anytime you have a question like, what should it be, vertical or horizontal, or what gear to use, or where should I do it, or what's my, anytime, just imagine little Evan over your shoulder. Here's what's on my heart. Record and post, and it's beautiful. Whatever you create from your heart is beautiful. It's great ideas flow through you. You are not going to look back and judge it. Other people are not going to watch your video and judge you. We need to get what's on our heart and start to record. Alice says, don't think, just do it. I've said that for 22 years. Let's go, Alice. Post to the Facebook group. We're going to be cheering you on. We're going to be watching and support each other. I can't wait to see the amazing things you guys are going to create. It's time. It's time. It's time. Like, we've risen our boldness level from the low number to a higher number. This is the time to do something about it. If you do not do it now, it's not happening. Like, post. This is what's on my heart. It is time. You are ready. The message is good enough. If it sucks, amazing. Let's all celebrate how much we suck at making content. Awesome. It's on your heart. Put it up. Record. Here's what's on my heart. Record and post.
I love it. And just to echo what Evan was saying, if you're nervous about making this video, there is not a better place. There is not a better group. There is not a better community to actually go and get this done. This video that seems like it may not make a huge dent in your step forward is the exact opposite. This is one of the biggest steps that you can take, and there is not a better place. We've had thousands of people live with us that are in the same position as you today, that are taking the exact same step. We've had thousands of comments. You guys are incredible. Just go into the comments in the Facebook group, and you can see what a compassionate and caring community this is. No one in here is going to want anything for you but to see you succeed. And this is the place where you can actually go and voice your opinion and voice how you feel and what you want to do and be completely uplifted. So please go take the push, make the video. Don't do the picture or the right to post. Make the video. Press record. So Thank you, guys. I think what we're going to do, Evan, I think what we should do, we have a few other questions. Let's leave them for, we can answer them tomorrow or on the Q&A day. I want to be courteous of everybody's time. Last thing, because I want to leave on what you said, it was beautiful. Last thing, again, I have added hundreds of people into the group while we've been on from YouTube. So if you're currently watching on YouTube, please, if you want to participate in the challenges, if you want to participate in the homework, if you want to be getting your questions answered and with the community, please go to momentumchallengelive.com, register for free. You can be here tomorrow with us live. So again, thank you all for being here. It's an absolute pleasure every time. Anything else, Evan?
Thank you, guys. Just do it. Just do the work. It's time. Like, remind yourself it's time. Like right now. Don't wait till tonight. Don't wait till after dinner. Don't wait till 3 hours later. Don't wait till what did Evan and Nick say? Don't wait now. It's time. Just tell yourself it's time. Like everybody, you're going to shut off Facebook in 2 minutes or YouTube. It's time. Take out your phone, get out of the room you're in, wherever you want to go, and press record. Here's what's on my heart, and post. It's time. 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 We love you guys. Post to the group. We'll see you there. Continue to believe, everybody. Thank you for an amazing day one. Let's go.
Love you guys.
We'll see you
an
tomorrow.
amazing afternoon.